Live from the 13 Now Digital News Desk, this is the Friday Night Fever Afterburn, sponsored by Beef O'Brady's.
Hey everybody, Courtney, Mims, Sam Granville here for you with week 10 of the high school football season. We only have now one more week of the regular season.
Makes me sad.
I know, it makes me sad too, but then we're into some playoff action. So we're really excited about all that. We have a lot to break down on our show tonight. We still see you guys in the comments. I know I see some Bluntstown fans. I see some Bozeman fans. I see some North Bay Haven fans. So we're going to break down all the high school scores that we have for the area to start off. So let's just go to those scores. Y'all want to see those scores? So let's go to those scores. Our game of the week, a really good one. Great game of the week over in Defuniak Springs. Walton taking down Chipley 21-20. Sam will break it down. I know he's eager to talk about it.
I'm ready.
He's eager to talk about it, but we'll break it down in just a sec. Want to go through some of those other scores for you guys. Hey, Roger, nice to see you. Go Tigers for you tonight. Obviously, that is super awesome for you guys. Northview takes down Bay 39-34. I thought the Tornadoes played really, really tough in this game. So a tough loss for them. Again, I just thought they played really, really well against a Chiefs team that was giving them some trouble. So Mosley with their first loss of the season tonight, their first loss of the regular season. It's also come at the end of their regular season to Gadsden County, 23-17, went to double overtime, so it wasn't without a fight. It wasn't without a fight for sure. Double overtime in that game, and then the Dolphins with their first loss of the year. Bozeman taking down Branford, a shutout win for them in the SSAC playoffs. They beat Branford 31-0. Port St. Joe with a win in the SSAC playoffs, but a lot closer than I think the Tiger Sharks would have liked it. 21-20, that final score over there. Dixie County and Freeport. Dixie County took down Freeport 57-20. And our Thursday night game of the week, Rutherford, I cannot talk tonight. Rutherford, the Rams taking down the Buccaneers 28-7. I don't know if we have, we do have another score graphic. There you go.
Plenty more.
We have one after this one too. There you go. Spencer's letting us know. Hey, Michelle, I appreciate it. And we're still looking for that Weewa Hitchka score as well. So, Sam, you have a fan there in Chad Bracken. He said it was good meeting you in Walton. So I know we have some.
I met a lot of friendly faces, but we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that in a second. Godby took down Arnold tonight, 45-26. Liberty County with a win in those SSAC playoffs as well, 31-14 over Trenton. A great win for those Bulldogs moving forward, and a great win for the Bluntstown Tigers as well as they took down Hilliard 52-22.
Wow.
The final score. Man, Tigers are an offensive machine this year. We got to talk about them in just a second. Chiefland took down Holmes County 41-6, and we have one more final score graphic for you guys. And Cottondale fell to Williston 49-34. Sneeds beat Hamilton 48-6. Wow, big win for the Pirates over there. Franklin County took down Graceville 42-34. I saw their coach put on social media as well. It was a great way for the Seahawks to end their season. And I definitely agree with a big 42-34 win over Graceville. And South Walton shutting out Vernon 51-0. That game was in Vernon tonight. So wow, huge win for South Walton. Well, I mean, huge win in the sense of, they scored a lot of points. So South Walton's just rolling. So let's break down. Let's break down our game of the week. Walton versus Chipley.
You were saying during the show, you were mentioning this, is this the game of the year? Is it the game of the week, the game of the year?
We had some fans. And I'll shout out the fans. Donovan Graham, a huge Walton Braves fan, he messaged me and he said, look, this was the game of the year. This was the game of the year. And I kind of think he has a point about that, right?
I mean, he certainly has a point. I mean, when you just watch these two teams, before the ball is even involved, you watch these two teams on the field and you're just like, wow. These teams are impressive. These guys, these linemen, these skill players, they are impressive. I said it earlier, both teams, have Division I level talent on their roster.
A lot of Division I talent, too.
Mold on both sides, both teams. You come in I spoke to head coach Keith White before the game, and he said, I truly believe this is the toughest team we're going to face so far
I believe
this year.
so too. Let's look at those highlights, Spencer, if we can, really quickly here. And it truly was a defensive battle in the beginning there, because right at the end of the first quarter, there was still nothing on the scoreboard, right? It was only until the second quarter that they got some things going. Is that correct?
Right at the end of the first quarter is when
first.
Chipley scored. Harrison Atkinson, he was great for Chipley today, and as he's been all year long, the senior running back has really stepped into that lead role over there and just taken over for the Tigers. But I mean, again, I was only there for one quarter, which I hate, having to drive all the way to Defuniak Springs and getting back in time to put the show together. But 6-0 going into the end of the first quarter, and then it goes 14-0 into 14 heading into overtime.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to what I was told from our fan, Miss LaToya Bell, that it came down to a 2-point conversion attempt. Chipley went for the win. They didn't want to tie it. They went for the win, and Walton's defense held strong. So like we said, those defenses making the difference. And tonight, Walton's defense made the difference.
That is exactly what lines up with what our good friends over in Walton texted me as well, is that Chipley scored on a 3rd down on a 6-yard pass. They lined up for go to 2, and Walton stops it. So so they won in overtime. I mean, that's pretty impressive. You have to say this again. Coach White saying this is one of the toughest teams they've had to face this year. You've got to give the Braves credit where credit is due. They're on an 8-game win streak now.
8-game win streak.
I mean,
and we talked about that South Walton team that put 50 points up on Vernon tonight, and I think Walton really wishes that they could have that game back. They lost 28-14.
But that was at the beginning of the year
beginning of the year. Both teams trying to get their groove. And now I think if we were to watch that rematch, both teams playing at their at the level that they are.
Ooh. I would like that rematch, but I want that rematch now.
right. But definitely South Walton, they deserved that win early on this year.
For sure.
And again, Kemper Hodges and that crew really getting things done. But Walton getting the job done tonight over Chipley. Game of the week for sure.
Game of the week for sure. They, a lot of fans said it was a war over there. Brittany Tafoya says, I'm a North Bay Haven mom, but I wish I could have watched that Chipley-Walton game tonight. Well, we just showed you some of the highlights there. If you want to go back and rewatch them. Only a little bit. You can go back and rewatch them on mypanhandle.com chats. As those Chipley Tigers brought it to Walton, they really did. Give credit to Chipley as well. It was an all-out war over there, and both teams are incredibly impressive this year. Jamie, there is not a schedule out for the next week SSAC games. I believe that comes out this weekend. We'll find out who their next matchups are. So again, keep tuning in to News 13 because we'll update you on the next SSAC games. But again, they only have this week, and then it's playoff time. So this is the last games they'll play for that North Florida League championship. And then a champion will be decided after next week for North Florida League. So I'm excited to see who will get it. I'm putting in my early bet, maybe Bluntstown, maybe Port St. Joe.
Right, so each one of them is playing for their own kind of championship. Yeah. So Bluntstown, they'll be playing for the overall SSAC championship, and then Port St. Joe, they're going for the Big Bend Brawl. And then Bozeman's going for the Gulf Coast Cup. And there are all these different, tournaments going on, and it's a lot of fun because it's like the playoffs already. Even though you're not eliminated if you lose. But it's like the playoffs. And it's like that first little taste.
It's a really cool atmosphere that the Sunshine State Athletic Conference puts on for those teams. I really, really like it. Can we talk a little bit, Sam? I know we just talked about Chipley-Walton. Oh, but first, we have a special shout-out for, I don't know if she's on the feed yet. I haven't seen her.
Sure.
I haven't seen her, but
if she's gotten in yet.
I haven't seen her, but I really want you to show the picture.
Well, we're going to show it anyway because she'll come back and watch. I know she will. But this is our big Friday Night Fever Afterburn fan, Miss LaToya Bell. She met me at the game tonight. She's been on every single week. Big fan. She was cheering on Walton before it was popular, before the Braves got on their win streak this year. She was cheering on the Braves. And she was there curled up in her Green Bay Packers blanket. It was a chilly night out there. The wind was blowing, and she was there cheering on the Walton Braves. It's very nice to meet you, Miss Latoya Bell.
I wish I could
Super
have met
fan
her.
of Friday Night Fever Afterburn.
I wish I could have met her too. So I hope she comes on or joins on and sees that photo. It was really great for you to meet her, and I know you're excited about that. Vicky, we don't know who St. Joe plays next week. Like I just said, St. Joe is in the SSAC playoffs right now. They're all competing, like Sam just said, for all those different, championship trophies and things like that. So we won't know until this weekend. Now, I think it's Dylan or Dylan Davis. I'm sorry if I pronounce that incorrectly. I apologize. But he said our games were announced last week on a Saturday. He was right. The guys who do the SSAC said they'll announce them on Saturdays or Sundays. It just kind of depends where they're at with their weekend as well. It's a Halloween weekend, so hopefully they come out with these games tomorrow. But we might find out Sunday
Last
too.
week I had the schedule on Saturday. I was able to put it in the 10 o'clock show on Saturday. If I have it tomorrow, I'll try to get it in the 10 o'clock show. I broke down the brackets. I broke down the matchups.
Yeah.
So I kind of break it down for you. If I can have it in tomorrow, I'll put it in the show. Stay tuned. Find out.
Yeah, you're going to keep watching News 13 for that. We do have a lot of Bluntstown Tiger fans on here. I've noticed a lot in the comments. Mickey just said, go Tigers, another big win for Bluntstown. We kind of do have to talk a little bit about this game, and I have to give a special shout out to Lake Seminole is what he calls himself on Twitter, Jay Miley's. I don't know his real name, but he reached out to me. I was like, hey, I'm going to the Bluntstown game. Let me know if you need updates. It was updating me the whole time with some awesome updates. So I have to give him a little shout out on our show tonight as well, because I know he watches. So let me just look real quickly at the stats. Let me pull up the stats for
While
Bluntstown.
Courtney's doing that, to clarify to Miss Samantha in the comments, no, Vernon did not beat Walton earlier this season.
No.
If I misspoke, I certainly might have done that. South Walton beat Walton earlier this season. Walton handled Vernon, like you said, 54 to nothing. But yes, earlier this season, South Walton beat Walton, and tonight South Walton beat Vernon, so there might have been a confusion.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Walton did beat Vernon, correct.
Right.
South Walton was the only loss they have on the schedule.
Right.
South Walton is the only loss that the Braves have on the schedule. So, yeah, that is what we said, and I pulled up those Bluntstown stats tonight because I got it. We got to talk about it. Bluntstown 7-1 right now. Their only loss coming to Holmes County, which was, again, a really interesting battle between these two teams. Great win for Holmes County, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
But Coach Johnson was like, that was not our best look that night. We didn't play like I wanted to play. Now they're turning around and obviously showing how they want to be playing. So, Sam, once we talk about this every week on the show with the Tigers and all their weapons they have. Again, tonight they had a ton of weapons as well. A lot of guys touching the ball. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys touching the ball tonight. That is a lot of different people. Again, Jordan Pride, FSU commit, with 2 catches tonight. He had 104 yards, 2 touchdowns as well, and one of those passes with a 54-yard touchdown pass.
Wow.
So I gotta shout out Jordan Pride as well tonight as well in that Tigers game, because even my friend over there on Twitter was even tweeting, oh my gosh, Pride with a long touchdown pass.
Right.
Pride was obviously on fire tonight. So, great job to all the Tigers over there. Look at these stats, Sam.
That's what I'm saying.
Look at these stats.
You got to shout out our man Josh Pope, because I know you had mentioned him. And we give the credit to all those running backs and those receivers, but we saw last week, we didn't get the highlights last week. He's putting those balls right on the money.
Yeah,
he is
right
putting
on the
them
money.
Right in the breadbasket. It doesn't get easier for these receivers.
Well, look at this.
Doing a great job leading
He only
that team.
passed 5 times in the game.
That's all he needs.
He only attempted 5 times. He completed 3 of those passes.
Right.
So, honestly, he's like, I don't need to pull out my arm, but when I do, it's going to make it on the money.
you know I love these weird statistics and stuff.
You really
I feel
do.
like if you were to break down the pass attempts to touchdown ratio, he's got to have one of the highest ones in the state of Florida, if not the country.
100%.
Last week, same thing. He threw, 6 passes,
6
and a couple were
passes.
touchdowns. Come on.
It's amazing.
Probably like 30% of his passes are touchdowns.
Well, look at this. You say that, and I have how many touchdowns he threw tonight? 2. He threw 2 touchdowns. So he made 5 attempts, 3 completed, and 2 of them touchdown passes. So
Quick math, 40%. I mean,
that's pretty good.
That is impressive. That's better than, you know, a lot of players are shooting field goal percentage in basketball. You know? And I mean, that's a field goal percentage for basketball. You know?
It's really
touchdowns
for a quarterback. Very, very good. So we got to give him credit as well. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'll say it before. I'll say it again. Tigers are a team to watch. Tigers are definitely a team to watch out for in the postseason. I think they've proved themselves as a dominant 1A squad. I think they deserve a spot in the FHSAA playoffs if they haven't already proven themselves. Sure. And I think that they make a far run. That's my early prediction. So
I'm with you there. They're, like we say this every single week, they're incredibly deep, they're incredibly talented, they're incredibly strong, they're incredibly fast. That is a good football team.
Yep.
They're going to make a run for sure.
Yeah. Michelle says we should come out to South Walton next week for senior night. We will be there, I believe. I believe we'll be there. I haven't looked at our schedule next week, but I believe we'll be able to run over to.
Yes. Catch the last, you know, home game of Mr. Kemper Hodges throwing 4 touchdowns and running for another tonight. We said all season long. Just insane numbers from that young man.
He's amazing.
And he got his first offer this past week.
Oh, he did?
And I think there's going to be many more to come. His first college offer, and
many
there's going to be plenty more headed his way.
Matt says Sneeds and Liberty play next Friday night in the SSAC. Matt, if you know that, that's great. We don't get the confirmation on who they're playing until the weekend. We had to find out who they played, who they took down tonight. I don't believe. Again, all I know is that we'll know tomorrow what the official schedule is. So
right.
I can't tell you that. That we know that for sure. I wonder who Mosley will play in the playoffs. You know, I wonder too, Michael. It just depends now. I mean, now we sit and wait, right? Because Mosley is now 9-1 on the year. Right. So we just sit and wait. They don't play next week. They played every single other week, so they get to have a bye week technically, and wait to see who they take on in the playoffs. We won't know until after everybody finishes those games next week. The final contest of playing is next Friday night, I believe. So we'll find out then. I'm really excited to see who Mosley will play on, and we do have to mention really quickly. I do want to say a quick prayer. I know. Brittany said in the chat tonight, praying for Mosley's team and their hard loss. We also should give a prayer for Mosley as well. You know, and prayers to Sanders family. Thank you. Obviously, if you haven't been keeping up with the news, I'm sure everyone has. One of Mosley's defensive players, Avery Sanders, was killed in a motorcycle accident. So it was a really tough game for them tonight to go out there and play for him. And I think the defense would have made him proud. Just they went out and played their hearts out. They really, really did. So I think it was a really tough loss for the Dolphins, but they really did play their hearts out. Going to double overtime, I mean, you fight till the very end.
No,
so.
And we've said all week how tough this Gadsden team is, but I mean, just to see the way that they fought, and I know they would have loved to have this win, and you know, say, you know, this is for Avery, this is that we did this for Avery, but I know that's what the rest of their season is going to look like. And you know, growing up here in the Panhandle and seeing a young man just immediately just lose his life like that is very tragic. It's very sad, and I hate to see it because you know, this is our community. These are our people, and all these teams are like one big, you know, like a group. They're a big family, you know. And we saw, you know, over on
Rutherford,
the west side.
North
Everybody's sending their respects, and I saw multiple videos this week. Right, Fort Walton Beach sending a video, and everybody has the same, you know, attitude. It is heartbreaking. It is sad, but Mosley, they have a bigger purpose now, and they're going to be a playoff team, and I think, you know, now they have their hearts.
Maybe this fuels the fire. And when we talk about this, we've said last week on the show, they have a chance to win out the rest of the season. We thought they would win out the rest of the season. We didn't know about all the stuff they've had to face this week. It was a tough week for that team. And to go out and fight their hearts out, I thought that was really valiant of every single player, because having to deal with all that, it goes one of two ways for a player. You either go out, you win the game handily, or you have a battle like you did, and you go in and you truly battle it out with another team that shouldn't have a 1-6 record going into this game. I mean, Gadsden County, that record does not tell the whole story. I mean, the week before, they played Niceville and went into overtime with them. If anybody looked at this schedule, they would see that those Jaguars had a extremely tough schedule this year. Probably one of the toughest I've ever seen for a high school football team. And so to go in and play all those tough teams, to play a tough Mosley team, to take it to double overtime with them and come out with the win, I guess what can you do at that situation? You fought your hardest, you played well. Now you just have to prepare for playoffs.
Right, and I think like we said, this is a team that has won every single game this year, and this is their first game without Sanders in the locker room, and I think the rest of the season, this is the first night that they haven't had their club victory all year long. First night without Sanders in the locker room. I think from this point on, every single win is going to mean so much more to them.
Yeah.
And I think they'll just keep on winning, but we'll have to wait
We'll have to see. It depends who they get in those playoffs. Obviously, it all depends who they get in those playoffs. Let's move on to talking a little bit about next week's games, if we can. Spencer, I believe we have some next week's. Oh, see, our producer, Spencer, just on it tonight. He has everything going on. We do have another Thursday night game with North Bay Haven versus Mariana. North Bay Haven obviously lost to Rutherford this week, and they really needed to win that game to have a chance at the postseason. So honestly, I don't think, maybe if they beat Mariana, they can make a case for it, but I really think that the Buccaneers just got to go out, maybe finish out strong with this one. And Mariana, coming off a bye week, is going to be hungry to beat them as well. Bay takes on Rutherford. That is the rivalry this week. Bay, Rutherford. I don't care what their records are. You can throw them out of the window because this game is always a great one. Right, Sam?
No, absolutely. And I had the chance to go watch that Rutherford North Bay Haven game on this Thursday, and that team, they just have so much fight in them. The Rutherford Rams, and again, as we saw tonight, Bay put up a strong performance as well.
Yeah, very strong.
But I mean, these two teams, they're going to bring it, and Antonio, the quarterback over there, Antonio Morgan, man, he is an athlete.
Excited to see him.
That'll be a fun one here in Bay County.
Oh, definitely a fun matchup. Arnold takes on Northview, and then Jay takes on Shipley. Lighthouse Christian versus South Walton. Again, we'll try and get over there, Seahawks fans, to see that game in senior night. So we'll try and get over there as best we can. Vernon takes on a real challenge in the Baker Gators. We've talked about Baker before on this show. It's going to be a real tough challenge for Vernon, who is really in a rebuilding year this year. And I believe we have some SSAC. Okay, we'll go over the SSAC teams once again for you guys. Again, we've talked about it earlier in the show. You guys asked who these teams were taking on. We don't know right now. They may have an idea of who they're taking on, but we want to confirm it before we say anything and put it out there and you're mad at us because we told you the wrong team. So the SSAC teams playing this year: Holmes County, Sneads, Freeport, Cottondale, Graceville. We have some more on another slide: Port St. Joe, Bluntstown, Liberty County, Bozeman, Weewahitchka, and Franklin County. So those are all the teams playing the SSAC. And those are all the teams that we will confirm their schedules next week.
There's a couple games that I can kind of put out there because I kind of have an idea of the brackets. I know Bluntstown beat Hilliard, Holmes County lost to Chiefland, so I think that would put Bluntstown and Chiefland playing for that game next week, and then Hilliard and Holmes County would face and kind of the losers bracket of that game for third place, not losers bracket, but for third place. Port St. Joe, they won tonight over Lafayette, and it was Dixie County that beat Freeport.
County that beat
so
Freeport.
Port St. Joe will face Dixie County, Freeport will face Lafayette.
Okay.
Liberty County beat Trenton. And Sneads won, so we can confirm that matchup that they're saying in the comments. Liberty County and Sneads will play for that cup.
See,
and
there you go.
Who won, Cottondale or Williston?
Williston won.
Williston will face Bozeman because Bozeman beat Brantford, so that'll be kind of the bracket matchups. Sorry, I had to kind of do the math in my head with all of this real quick.
You just went
there we go.
You just went
There's
through
the
whole
matchups
thing.
for next week in the SSAC.
Well, there you go.
All those will be playing for the championships, for their cups, and their respective brackets.
For people that may have missed that tonight, you'll have that probably
If you missed
on
that,
news.
I will put the brackets in my show tomorrow night at 10 o'clock. on News 13.
There you go. So
I will have it.
if you do not, if you just didn't keep up with anything that Sam just said.
I kind of forgot what I said.
There you go. Yeah.
I mean.
So, well, there you go. Thanks for figuring that out for everybody. So if you're still watching with us, there you go. That's exactly those matchups for next week. Would like to see Bluntstown and Port St. Joe. Jamie, I would like to see Bluntstown and Port St. Joe as well. I think they're two of the top teams in Class 1A right now. Port St. Joe, obviously a fantastic team. Bluntstown, a fantastic team. I don't know who would win that matchup. That's a hard one to even say who would win, because I think it could go down to the wire if those two got to meet up.
Certainly two of the most talented teams around. The one difference that I've talked about these teams this year is depth.
Yes.
Bluntstown certainly has more depth on their roster. Port St. Joe, they run with a core about 15, 16 guys on both sides of the ball. Very, very talented core, 15, 16 guys. DJ Oliver, he's the best player on the field pretty much all times at running back and then at linebacker. I mean, both these teams are incredible. I want to see this matchup. They got me at a loss for words. I'm ready to just watch them play. Hopefully we see them play the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
I'll put a bid out to the FHSAA right now. How can we make these two teams meet in the postseason?
They're probably like, please don't let us play one another.
Yeah, they really don't. They really don't want to see, unless it's for the championship, right? That's the only time these two teams are going to meet each other, is for that championship. Thanks, Roger. We appreciate it. I know Roger, I think, is a Tigers fan as well. I think he said earlier in the show he's a Tigers fan, so Roger, it'll be exciting to see where your Bluntstown Tigers go for the rest of the season. I'm excited to see the playoffs, what the FHSAA playoffs look like with the Tigers in it, and where they kind of get matched up with, and what their path to a state title would be. That would be pretty interesting to see.
Right, and I'm seeing, Miss LaToya Bell back in the comments. I'm not sure if she was here earlier in the show. Can we bring that back up?
They're going to show the picture again.
Miss LaToya, if you didn't hear earlier, it was a pleasure meeting you tonight. Our Friday Night Fever Afterburn super fan there in Walton. Got to see a great game in overtime. It's great to see you tonight. Great to meet you, Miss LaToya.
Oh, I love it. And great to meet Chad, too. He was obviously saying
I know.
Nice
Lots met Chad over there, and I met a lot of people, and, got to get the Friday Night Fever on News 13 with both cheerleaders tonight. Only got to put Walton's cheerleaders on, but watch out if you're a Chipley fan. Those cheerleaders, they did a pretty impressive stunt for it, too. So we'll have to
save that for next week. We'll have to save it for next week. Roger says that Joshua is my son, so Josh Pope is Roger's son. So we hyped him up a lot. He's a baller.
You probably got it off me, right?
Yeah, he's probably pretty proud of him tonight. So pretty proud of him all the time, but pretty proud of him tonight as well. Honestly, Sam, LaToya says, Sam, you're awesome. See, look at that. Sam is awesome.
I do my best.
See, I want to meet you guys, too. Now you guys got to come up to me at games and take photos with me, because I want to meet y'all as well. Anyways, I think that's everything we have to talk about tonight. I know it was a busy week, but I know everyone wants to enjoy their Halloween weekend. We didn't really do anything for Halloween here at the station. Nothing spooky, for us, except
just football.
Yeah, just football. I mean, wins or losses can be pretty scary, I guess.
Pretty scary. There's a lot of losses tonight, so it's kind of scary week for some teams.
Yeah,
not so much for other teams.
Yeah, not so much for other teams, exactly. So enjoy your Halloween weekend. We will see you guys next week for week 11 of the season. It is the final week of the regular season next week, so we'll see you guys all there for that. And then also, we will be doing Friday Night Fever and Friday Night Fever Afterburn for some of those FHSAA playoffs. It depends how far your teams go to see how many shows we do. We will try and do a show for every single week of the playoffs. We'll do our best if we can. If you guys help us out, if you give us scores and help us out with that, we can keep doing these shows for you guys through all the playoffs and get all of those on as well. Anything else you'd like to add, Sam?
It was a great week. A lot of fun. Miss LaToya says she did ask about you. She did. I told you where you were tonight.
Yeah.
It was a fun week. I'm glad I got to be over there in Defuniak Springs. I've been wanting to go there all season long.
I know.
Finally got to make the trek out there. It was a lot of fun. Great week.
I'm glad. Well, we will see you guys next week for week 11 of the season. And again, happy Halloween. Hope you eat lots of candy and get lots of treats, not tricks. So we'll see you guys next week.